Welcome everyone, hope you're all having a great experience in the early access. Today I bring you the Crit Bloodmage double cast on Freeze Comet Frostwall Fireball build, thanks to Goratha, links in the description below. Similarly to the name, this build is quite a handful, but if you are looking for something off meta, yet an extremely strong endgame mapper with a mechanically fun and low button playstyle, then this might just be your next character. Our gem setup consists of a double cast on Freeze Comet, Frostwall, Fireball, Firewall, and Eye of the Winter. In the tree we scale the most off of increases to spell damage, cold damage, elemental damage, spell critical hit and damage bonus, and increases to freeze and area of effect. Defensively, we stack as much life and energy shield as possible, and take advantage of life remnants and green feast to overcap both of those defenses. We also use a bit of armor and a good shield for block. As for the items, there is one necessary unique and one recommended unique, therefore this build is not SSF friendly unless you already own these items. We require the blue flame bracers to convert 100% of our fire damage to cold, and it is highly recommended to have in its series disdain to add loads of free energy shield based off of your maximum life. My character in the background gameplay consists of no more than 20 exalted orbs, and it is able to easily clear tier 14 maps, as you'll be able to see throughout this video. Let's talk about how this build works and how it feels to play. Essentially, you place down your Frostwall ideally right on top of your enemies and shoot your fireballs into the wall for it to shatter and deal most of your damage. For tankier enemies, you can place down a firewall, which significantly increases the damage of your fireballs once they pass through it. And for bosses, you can also occasionally throw out an Eye of the Winter to debuff the boss against critical strikes and apply cold exposure. Using any abilities, but especially Frostwall, we are able to freeze enemies almost permanently, considering we're able to kill them quickly. And because we're constantly freezing, we're also proccing the double cast on Freeze Comets, which come down raining from the sky and utterly obliterating enemies. Personally, I found myself using only the Frostwall and Fireball combo during 90% of the maps, as the 50% critical strike and 265% critical damage bonus is enough to comfortably clear the map. Of course, along with the Comet automatically proccing quite often as long as you are killing monsters. Unfortunately, the downside of this build is bossing, as after some nerfs we struggle to keep the boss frozen, which affects our damage as we deal more damage to frozen enemies, as well as making us squishier because the boss is not frozen in place. Another downside being the Blood Mage ascendancy, as we use a large amount of our own health to cast abilities. This can become unsustainable if we can't kill the boss before our potions run out. Talking about the Blood Mage ascendancy, it's the reason why I call this build off meta, because it's in a bit of a weird place. On one side, it provides us with a ton of crit chance and damage, which feels really nice offensively, but as a sacrifice we're using a large amount of our own health to cast abilities, and although we are able to pick up life remnants to overcap our life, our health doesn't often stay overcapped because if anything it simply sustains the cost, so we stay relatively at a high health. A paradox of this ascendancy is that we get 1% increased critical damage bonus per 40 life, and it seems like this was intended to be balanced with the overcapping of our max life so that we're able to utilize big bursts of damage. However, the life cost of the abilities is just too much for this to be consistent, especially on bosses. Now, thanks to Goratha, this build can be further evolved to scale much deeper into the endgame by dropping crit, utilising Archmage, a high energy shield body armour, and respecking over to the right side of the ascendancy, which is much tankier. But I haven't done that yet, and I don't know if I will because it's a bit more on the expensive side, and I think I want to try another build at this point. I still wanted to make a video on this version of the build as it is really fun and satisfying to play. It can easily delve into the end game with little investment and has made me over 200 exalts as of the making of this video. So, generally I don't recommend this build as a bosser, but I definitely recommend it as a map farmer. There will be links in the description for Goratha's in-depth planner if you would like to check out all the details of this build. And with all that being said, thank you for watching this video. Once again, I hope you're all having a wonderful early access, and I'll see you around.